You're listening to Blue Radio, bringing the vibe.
Yeah, good afternoon. Is it afternoon or an evening? And welcome to The Drive. My name is Cate. And in case you're new to The Drive, being on a Monday, it's all about political Mondays. We get to be a bit political. And today we've got a couple of segments lined up for you. And today we'll be talking about the cancel culture in Kenya. Do you believe in it? Do you believe there's such a thing in Kenya? And what is your take on that? And this is about what happened over the weekend. So there is a popular podcast in Kenya that decided to host Kasamuel. We all know who Kasamuel is. Alikuwa so vocal during the first maandamano where people reject the finance bill. Alikuwa one of the people in the streets. And then kidogo, the man decided to sema, enough is enough. We cannot achieve anything without leadership, and he decided to join the Azimio coalition. And pictures went round on social media shaking akiwa pale na some of the leaders from the Azimio coalition, Raila Odinga. Then he started saying so many things. Akiambia watu, like, we cannot achieve anything without Kuku are leaderless, because everybody was saying we are leaderless. And so many people have come out after this particular podcast, decided to invite him on their show. Watu wanasema, should we cancel the podcast? Ama what should we do? Because many people believe that anybody who is in support of the current government is an enemy of the people. So tell me, tunasemanga everybody is entitled to their own opinion. So when should we cancel a person in Kenya? And do you really believe cancel culture works in Kenya? And you can be part of this conversation via social media pages. Blue Radio Kenya, Cate Mkame Anaska. We will be back with more stories on this. In case you're wondering what cancel culture is all about, so let me brief you kidogo on what cancel culture is. So in Kenya, cancel culture refers to the practice of publicly calling out, shaming, or boycotting people, brands, or public figures due to their controversial actions, statements, or behaviors. This mostly happens on social media platforms like X, where Kenyans on X, Kenyans si mnajua kotu, Kenyans on X, where Kenyans are known for mobilizing quickly to hold people accountable. It can be used to push for justice, expose corruption, or challenge harmful behaviors, but sometimes it turns into cyberbullying or an unfair rush to judgment. Some people get cancelled temporary. Some people get and later may make a comeback, while others faced lasting repercussion or whatever. Well, ya wengine exceeds more than the usual. Some people are never able to make a comeback on social media after people boycott them or call them out. So we are talking about Kasamuel. So we all know Kasamuel from the hashtag reject finance bill. He was one of the most vocal people wenye walikuwa kipaumbele rejecting the finance bill, and then kidogo tukakuja tukamwona ameshift on the other side. He joined the opposition, that is Azimio la Umoja coalition. Tukaona picha pale kwa mtandao with Raila Odinga and some of the other leaders from their coalition. And then so recently a podcast decided, the Mic Check podcast. Most of you are familiar with this podcast. So you can 3 hosts. There is a lady and 2 gentlemen on the podcast. So people wanaanza kusema anybody that is in support of the current government is an enemy of the people, and we should cancel the podcasts. And kuna wengine on the other side wanasema just a podcast can invite whoever they want to invite on their show, and they don't owe anybody an explanation. And people also saying Kasamuel does not owe anybody anything. He can do whatever he wants. And mambo hayaendi vizuri pale because people are divided on what they should do. So people wanasema there's a time this same podcast wanted to invite Kibe, but 2 of the hosts did not turn up because they do not agree with what Kibe says. So people are arguing and saying Kibe just speaks for the sake of speaking, but haumizi mtu yoyote. Allegedly, that is what they're saying. Well, on the other side, they're saying that Casmuel betrayed the movement. How true that is, I do not know. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and there is freedom of expression. You can express yourself in any manner that you want to, do whatever you want to, as long as your freedom of expression is not haileti maumivu kwa your neighbor ama the person next to you. So people are discussing about this podcast. Some people have gone and unsubscribed to this podcast, and they're like, come on, the other time when Kibe was coming to your podcast, 2 of you did not turn up to the show because you do not agree with. So what's different about Kasmuel? And one of the hosts on the podcasts has been quoted saying, just because we host people on the podcast, haimanishi that we agree with everything that we say. And that's true. Like, we can argue to disagree ama agree, and there are always 2 sides of the coin. And for how long are we going to use the term let's cancel someone in Kenya just because we feel that we do not agree with whatever they're doing? And do you really think that cancel culture works in Kenya? In the movement, we're going to say we are leaderless, nini. But then again, this other side said we cannot achieve anything without having a leader. We need somebody. And you remember, there's a time pale kulikuwa on X, kulikuwa na Twitter space, and someone pale, the president was supposed to address the nation, but wakasema his accounts ziko na shida kidogo. And so mtu pale mkumbwa on X decided to host the president, na pia this same person was one of the person when alikuanga kipaumbele during the reject the finance bill. And Kenyans did not take this lightly. Pia walikuwa like, let's cancel this person, he's a traitor, how can you accept to nini. And for how long are we really going to be calling out people because what they say ama what they advocate for does not sit right na sisi? I believe that everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Like, this is your platform, and you've got followers, you've got supporters, but you know the work that, you know the amount of hard work you're putting uko nyuma ya curtains that we do not see sisi kama followers wako. Like, it's your platform. You can do what you want to do with it. You can choose the brands that you want to work with, and so long as these brands are not harmful to the people, let's just learn to listen to everybody's side of and I say that content creation is just a business like any other. Like, these people, there are so many people that depend on this podcast. Kuna videographers, kuna pale. Probably they've got a social media manager. Probably they shoot in a B&B. So that means they have to book the B&B. So as we say, let's cancel these people, let's look at the greater effect. So the moment we decide canceling and boycotting these people, that means business will go down for them. There are people who look up to this podcast to be able to cater for their daily needs, pay bills, pay school fees. So where will these people go? Sometimes before we start saying let's boycott a brand, let's look at other factors. It's a brand. Okay, there is the face of the brand. That is the person that owns the social media account. But behind this person is a whole team of people that depend. So before we start coming, let's cancel this person, let's do this, let's think beyond. And everybody is entitled. Do what you want to do. It's your channel. So long as whatever you're doing is not ileti, it's not harming your followers, and it's just a platform. Like, yeah, whatever, you can choose not to follow this brand. You can choose not to listen to this podcast. You can choose not to listen to what this person is saying. But say let's cancel this person. There are a few people that have been cancelled in Kenya. Let's look at the case of Shafi. Shafi is one of the people that really the cancel culture really mgonga. And you can choose not to consume the content, but cancelling a person because they brought someone that you do not like. How many people are you going to cancel because they're interacting with people that you do not like? How many people are you going to go on social media calling out because maoni yako na yao aiendani? Like, we can now all have different opinions on something, and that's why it's called a conversation. Me and you having a conversation does not mean we have to agree on everything. And just because we do not agree on everything, I am an enemy of the people. No. How you reason is not how I reason as a person. So, what do you think about the cancel culture in Kenya? Does it really work?
You're listening to Blue Radio, bringing the vibe.